Hi, and welcome to another installment of Math Basics, Mr. Besh. Today we're going to use our prior knowledge and skill to calculate both probability and odds. Now this lesson is designed to go with the notes that I passed out in class. All right, there's some key information that you need to know before you get into probability and odds, just based on things that are common and ordinary that we use when calculating events. First, the definitions. Before we begin, you need to know that probability and odds are totally different than one another. If we were comparing them as fruits, one would be an apple and one would be a banana. When you write a probability or you write a simple odd, it is a fraction, a numerator and a denominator. The probability is success over total outcomes. Success is on the top, the numerator, total outcomes is in the denominator. And what these mean are the following. Success means how many times you can accomplish what you want, whereas the total outcomes represents how many things can happen overall. What are my total outcomes? By definition, odds, the numerator is success, the same as probability, but the denominator is totally different. It's failure. Success still means the same thing. How many times can you accomplish what you want? But the failure term represents how many times you can't accomplish your goals. Now, I have three events that we are going to use to explain the differences between basic one-step probability and odds. The first is the coin flip. The probability of me taking and flipping a coin and getting either heads or tails is going to be 1 out of 2. On a coin, the total outcomes are 2. I could either get heads or I can get tails. There are no other options. So now my probability of getting heads or tails is 1 over 2 as a fraction. Now, the odds is different. The odds is success over failures. The 1 will remain the same on the top. If I said, what are the odds of getting tails or the odds of getting heads flipping a coin, the answer would be 1 over 1, simply because success over failure means if it's the odds of getting heads, I have 1 chance to get heads on the coin, and I have but 1 chance to fail, and that would be if I got tails. So it would be 1 over 1. The second event that I'm going to deal with is the spinner. If you could take a look, there are 6 equal partitions on the spinner. And when I spin this, the probability is the same to land on each and every one of these. The probability would be 1 out of 6. So if I said, what is the probability of landing on purple? It would be 1 out of 6. What's the probability of landing on yellow? It would be 1 out of 6. If I started calling them out by numbers and I said, well, what's the probability that I land on an even number? What I do is I count all my even numbers in the spinner. The even numbers in the spinner are 0, 2, and 4. So the probability would be 3 over 6. And remember, all of my fractions need to be in lowest terms. So a fraction that is 3 over 6 reduces nicely to simply 1 over 2. This is how I do my probability. If I talked about the odds of spinning my spinner and getting purple would be 1 out of 5, because I only have 1 chance to get on purple, yet I have 5 chances not to get on purple. If I propose a question like, what are the odds of spinning the spinner and getting an odd number? What would that happen? Well, I would count up how many odd values are on my spinner, and that would be the top number. Then I would count up how many are not odd, and that would be the bottom. 1, 3, and 5 are odd, so that would mean there are 3 values on my spinner that are odd, and then there are 3 values that are not odd. So the odds of spinning the spinner and getting an odd value would be 3 over 3, and in lowest terms, it would simply be 1 over 1. And this is how I would do probability and odds dealing with the spinner. Last but not least, my number cube, my chance cube. The probability of taking this guy and rolling it and getting a 4 is 1 out of 6. To get a 1 is 1 out of 6. To get any other specific number on this chance cube is 1 chance out of 6. That's what I have. That's my probability. My odds of rolling this number cube like I just did here and getting the 6 would be 1 chance out of 5. Because I would only have 1 chance to get the 6, but yet I would have 5 chances not to get the 6. Okay? So remember, this is how I do probability and odds. This is the difference between probability and odds. If I were to say, rolling this number cube, what is the probability that I would get an even number? Well, remember on a number cube, half of the numbers are even and half of the numbers are odd. So my probability of rolling an even number would be 3 over 6, nicely reduced down to 1 over 2 as my fraction. But if it were odds, the odds of rolling an even number would be 3 over 3, which reduces down to 1 over 1 in simplest form. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is the difference between how to calculate probability and odds. I hope you found this video both helpful and informative.